For sure. And the man, Alex Baker, Awesemo himself, breaking down a 12-game Tuesday slate with you. Glad to have you with us as always, and hope you had a good Labor Day weekend. No rest for the wicked in the DFS space, Adam. Holidays aren't holidays, you know?
Yeah, holidays aren't holidays. Weekends aren't weekends.
Damn right. Yeah, but you know what? We're here, and I don't know, pretty blessed to be able to talk about sports. So hardly any complaints that you have to write about baseball or football on a holiday.
No, and I got the day off anyway. So
did you have the day off?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you didn't have. Well, wait, didn't you have the early show?
No.
Oh, who was that? Josh and Jake, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, nice. You joined us in the room before it started.
Bro, I'm talking about yesterday.
Oh, I wasn't really listening.
Yeah, I can see that. Sick burn. Anyway, what's happening, Alex? How you feeling? How was your weekend?
I'm good, man. I've been grinding out football a lot, but I feel like we're in the routine for baseball already. So kind of this late season doesn't take quite as much work because we're already familiar with everything going on. So I'm excited to do both.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I am pretty stoked. Your DFS Week 1 NFL projections are out on the site. They're awesome. I talked to you about that earlier today. And we're going to have ownership projections tomorrow, which we're going to be able to talk about on the NFL Strategy Show, which is also awesome. If you missed it, Sal Vetri made his Awesemo debut today, and he did a bang-up job. Dude, he killed it. It was an awesome show. He joined me on the Strategy Show. He's as long-winded as I am, so buckle up for this season. But it was really cool. You can check it out on YouTube. We're going to be doing the Strategy Show 5 days a week on top of baseball and on top of NBA. So get ready for the NFL season with us, the Strategy Show. Alex, you're going to be on the Thursday night Live Before Lock show. You're going to be doing On the Contrary. We're going to try and have a special guest every week. You're going to be doing a lot of video content as well for this NFL season.
Yeah, I'm stoked. NFL is how I got my start in the video touting. So I feel like coming back a year later, I'm just going to be ready to dish out some takes here.
Grizzled vet. All right, let's jump into it. 12 games, not your normal 14, 15 on a Tuesday. Adam, Sandy Alcantara, Mitch Keller, Pirates, Miami. Two underwhelming teams, a pretty favorable pitching park. Alcantara's seen his price point come up a little bit, though. Looking at this game, we'll start with pitching. Anything that stands out to you? I know you've had the itch to play Mitch Keller in the past.
Yeah, I like Keller a lot here. I think exposure-wise, it's kind of site-dependent because DraftKings, I think that he's a really good option, but roster construction-wise, it's really easy to get an ace pitcher and then one of the basically minimum price pitchers. So that's the only thing kind of keeping my exposure to him down. On FanDuel, he's $8K. I think that he's a perfectly fine option. And then on Yahoo, he's $33 where you don't have all those minimum price pitchers. So he's really, really appealing there. The Marlins, obviously a good matchup. It is worth pointing out that this particular lineup is about I don't think tough's the right word, but I'll use it, as tough a strikeout matchup as you can get facing the Marlins. Rojas, Castro, Walker, Harold Ramirez, Brian Holiday all have strikeout percentages below 21.5%, but they also all are really bad at hitting with the exception of Garrett Cooper. So it's still a good spot for Keller. He has really good stuff. 28% strikeout percentage at AAA, 26.8 so far in the majors. So I still like Keller a lot.
Do you like Keller today, Alex? Right now you're getting ownership projections on Mitch Keller coming in around 11% on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think he's in play. I like the matchup versus Miami is certainly pretty nice. Anytime you have some guy with an arm, and Mitch Keller has a pretty good one, 27% Ks. But he's not really jumping off the page to me tonight. I'm not exactly sure why. I'll have to look into it a little bit more. But Miami, that's a little surprising because Miami is such a good matchup. So let me dig into that. I guess he just doesn't really go super deep in the games.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess. Well, let me ask you this then, Adam. It's not popping for Alex. If you had to guess, what would be the reasons not to play Mitch Keller today?
I don't think it has anything to do with Keller. I think it just has to do with roster construction. Like I did a crunch for DraftKings before the show, and I got 17 or 18% Keller. If you had asked me to guess how much Keller I got, I would have taken the over on that. But it's just that it's really easy to make lineups with whoever you prefer out of Clevenger or Scherzer or DeGrom. Pair him with like a Montgomery or one of the other 4K guys, and you're getting a lot of upside in your lineup. And then you don't have a core. It's not a core slate, so there's not a ton of offenses that are like forcing you to use Keller as an SP1.
Okay. Do you have interest, Adam, in any bats here?
Yeah, I'm interested in the Pirates. PNC it's not a great hitter's park, but it is a downgrade for Sandy Alcantara leaving Miami. He has been one of the worst qualified starters in baseball this year. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys, walks guys. Pirates running out a pretty decent lineup. No Kevin Newman's disappointing, but the price tags are back down after their trip to Coors, so I am interested in them.
Okay. Talk to me about bats, Alex. Not a game that's generally going to pop, but does it stand out to you on either side?
I think that pretty low totals on both sides. I think that Miami might just be a little bit too bad of offense to stack up here, but Philadelphia I'm interested in. It looks like their ownership is about where I think it should be.
Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, yeah. The ownership is about where it should be. On DraftKings, there's some good values on FanDuel. A little bit harder to get to. So I think I see some potential here, but not really a staple of my lineups.
Okay. Well, let's keep it moving then. Talking Washington and the New York Mets. Staying with you, Alex. Max Scherzer on the bump. Jacob deGrom getting in a little bit to what we saw from Scherzer last time out against Baltimore. You know, we had talked about it being a really solid matchup, just worried about his pitch count. And he goes into the fifth inning cruising. Like everything looked really, really good. I didn't play Scherzer, but I was really worried at this point. And then he kind of started to unravel a little bit. He still finished with 8 strikeouts, but didn't get through 5 innings. And then today, if you're looking at ownership on Max Scherzer, he's coming in, well, really low, 10% on DraftKings at a very pricey salary. I don't even know if we need to go through all of it. Case in point being that Scherzer is not getting a lot of ownership. People are a little bit worried, I'm assuming, about that pitch count based on his price point. Where do you stand on Scherzer today?
Yeah, I guess last game was really disappointing, even though, we were expecting him to not be full strength. I had him a lot. And I think that a lot of people are kind of thinking that he might not be fully healthy and staying off him, but he did go 89 pitches. So if you give that 5 more days, I think he might be up to 100 on average today.
They said he's good for 90 plus, so you could be right.
Yeah, I mean, if he's in the 90s, I think that's good enough. The prices are pretty darn high across the industry, so I don't know if he'll be a top play, especially given that the Mets are not the greatest matchup. They don't have easy strikeouts in the lineup. Is a team with some good power bats, and he is super expensive, so not my favorite play, but I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in the game, so I think there's always merit to going there if he's healthy.
Adam, Scherzer, and on the other side, Jacob deGrom. 2 of the league's best pitchers, certainly 2 of the best NL pitchers in baseball. deGrom coming in a little bit cheaper than Max Scherzer, but also, and I think reasonably so, deGrom is getting more ownership. Is this a spot for you to target heavily on either side?
I'm interested. So I'm getting a lot of Scherzer on DraftKings right now, and I think it's because we have him projected for 12% ownership, whereas we have deGrom at 18%. So I think that him and deGrom are pretty comparable. The issue with Scherzer is that, let's say he throws 100 pitches. It's still tough to love paying his price tag for a guy that we can be pretty confident isn't going to be allowed to throw like 115 or something like that if he's pitching well and really gets you over the top. The matchup's not great against the Mets either, but the matchup for deGrom isn't perfect. He's not as good a strikeout pitcher as Scherzer is. The Nats lineup is pretty solid. Not a ton of strikeouts in it. Turner, Rendon, Soto, Suzuki, Parra, all below 20.5% strikeout percentages. So, not a great matchup for either guy. I think I would just prefer whichever one's getting lower ownership.
So DeGrom at 49 on Yahoo compared to Scherzer at 60 is pretty significant.
Yeah, DeGrom's Yahoo salary makes him really appealing there. He's $6 less than Clevenger. He's 11 less than Scherzer. He's even $1 less than Jack Flaherty. But on the other sites, he's closer in price to Scherzer.
Right. Do you share the same opinion on Yahoo, Alex, that DeGrom, that big discount just makes him the clear better option?
Absolutely. I mean, these are two of the best pitchers in baseball, and the Nats aren't an easy matchup, but 49 just seems like it's too much of a discount to pass up.
What about hitters, Alex? It's obviously not a game where we're going to generally target any bats, but I know you usually pull value from spots that we might not be expecting. Is there anything here that you've seen that stands out to you?
One guy that's really standing out is Brandon Nimmo at 2,900 on DraftKings. He's a guy that hits for power, maybe not as much this year, but so not a great year so far, but that price and the spot in the order of fifth is mighty appealing. Adam,
anything?
Yeah, I'll second Brandon Nimmo's salary, and then also Jeff McNeil is probably a little bit cheaper than he should be, but going to the, taking guys against Scherzer is never a huge part of my game plan.
I can imagine so. Adam, Boston and Minnesota, Rick Porcello and Randy Dobnak. Well, tell us first what you know about old Randy D.
Basically nothing. I'm pulling it up now, but it's a spot against Boston, so it's not someone that I dug into super deep. But 46 innings at AAA this year, struck out 18.7%, had a 61% ground ball percentage, which is obviously really good. But the strikeouts weren't there at AAA, and then now he's facing the Red Sox, who are obviously a really good offense. They're running a good lineup out there, so I'm not looking to go to Randy Dobnak, even though he is 4K.
Okay. I can't. Yeah, I know. And if you're not willing to go to a 4K pitcher, who?
Oh, I'm willing to go to 4K pitchers, just not him.
I'm saying if you're not willing to go to meaning him.
Oh, right.
Then we're in trouble. Alex, what are your thoughts on Porcello and Dobnak? Obviously, two of the most premier offenses in the league, and we don't know much about Randy D. But when it comes to Porcello, we know that it's been a rough season for him. A lot of home runs. A little bit better recently. He seems to have buckled down a bit, but he also has a much more difficult matchup.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous that you're saying this game is favorable for bats because I'm all over Randy Dobnak and Rick Porcello. not really. I mean,
yeah, I don't believe that.
Okay, I guess I didn't sell that one that well, but I think this is a game where Boston's going to be super appealing going against Dobnak. A guy that doesn't really strike guys out, making his first start of the year. I think that it's a pretty appealing situation, and it looks like the ownership might not be that outrageous tonight. So I think that they're a strong play.
All right. Adam, bets on both sides. As you can imagine, that we should expect to see a decent amount of scoring in this game. Right now, you've got a total that's one of the higher on the. Actually, it's probably the highest on the slate. Let me see here. Yeah, highest on the slate. Red Sox with a total above 6. Twins up around 5-7. So, there's clearly a lot to like from a hitting standpoint. Do you see yourself getting to a lot of bats from this game?
Not as I don't think they'll be like my highest owned stack, but I am getting to a pretty decent amount of Boston, a little bit less Minnesota. But both of them right now in the stack tool on Awesemo.com look like good tournament plays. Like neither one's getting ownership that is as high as their chance of being the top stack. So I think that's pretty appealing. So yeah, I like both offenses.
What about you, Alex? Bats. What totals do you have from both of these teams? Implied totals.
6.1 for Minnesota, 6.6 for Boston. So two really favorable situations tonight. And when I'm running my crunch, I'm getting some other teams that are much easier to get to than these teams, which makes me think that these teams will go largely passed over compared to their chances tonight. So I think Boston makes a nicer play because their price a little bit better and they have the better team total. But Minnesota could be that sleeper that much less people are on that could really pay off.
Okay. Fair enough. Do we want to hit on anything else from this one? I just want to make sure we cover everything given the big totals and rough pitching. That's it?
I don't have anything else from this one.
All right. Cleveland, Chicago White Sox, Adam, Mike Clevenger, Dylan Cease. Clevenger's been outstanding this season. He's getting projected around 50% ownership on Yahoo. On DraftKings, 27%, second highest projected pitcher outside of one to be named later, facing a bad Detroit Tigers team. And on FanDuel, Clevenger at 17%, one of the highest projected arms on this slate. Is it justified? Is it warranted against this White Sox team that strikes out quite a bit?
Yeah, I love Clevenger tonight. I don't think it's really close for me at the top. Obviously, his price tag is really expensive. He's more expensive than Scherzer and DeGrom. So there's going to be some lineups where you just need that savings. But he's my favorite pitcher here. I mean, he's got the highest strikeout percentage on the slate this year at 36%. He's facing a White Sox team that is running out a balanced lineup in terms of lefties and righties, but they have 4 righties in the top 6, so he's facing them a little more often. He's struck out about 43% of righties this year, about 29.5% of lefties, but also just tons of strikeouts in this lineup. The only guy with a below-average strikeout percentage here is Jose Abreu. You're getting really, really high strikeout percentages from most of the rest of the lineup. So it's not even like it's a lineup where the strikeout average is skewed by a couple of guys. It's just strikeouts everywhere. So I really like Clevenger, and I don't think it's that difficult to get him into lineups either.
Alex, do you agree with Adam?
Yeah, I think that best pitcher on the slate because of the matchup versus the White Sox and super, super expensive on DraftKings and FanDuel, rightfully so. As Adam was saying, this matchup, their lineup, the White Sox lineup today has more strikeouts than usual, so I really like that. On Yahoo, it looks like at 55, he's a little bit easier to get to, so he'd probably be a cash game lock. But if you like some cheap stacks, then this is the guy you're probably going to pair with him.
All right. Fair enough. What about hitters on either side, Alex? Clevenger, not really targeting against him. But what about Cleveland against Dylan Cease?
Yeah, I think Cleveland is really standing out for me. Just like insane values across the industry. Especially on FanDuel, there are 3 guys that are just insanely cheap, mainly due to the fact that they're batting much higher in the order than normal. There's Greg Allen at 2,100, batting second. Jake Bauers at 2,400, batting fifth. And because of those guys kind of being super values, the whole team is going to pop up in optimized lineups by projection a ton. So I'm kind of concerned that the ownership will be high after our next update, which takes in the new lineup into account. But I definitely like their chances tonight.
Okay. Adam, Cleveland right now, as far as ownership goes, aggregate ownership on the Awesemo stack tool on awesemo.com. Use the sign-up code DeeperDive to get 50% off your first month. Awesemo.com. We got the stack tools, the ownership projections, the player projections, all tools developed and used every day by Awesemo himself, Alex Baker himself, in case you know him by Alex, but I guess most don't. Most know you by Awesemo, right?
Since we started the site, I usually go by Alex, but if someone says Awesemo, I'm not going to argue with them.
Yeah, I would feel uncomfortable like meeting up with you and saying, "What's up, Awesemo?"
Yeah, that'd be pretty weird, right?
Alex, I feel a lot more comfortable with. But anyway, he uses all of these tools, developed them all himself. They're awesome, help you become a better player. All of the premium articles, the lineup builder, fantasy cruncher add-on, check it all out. And if you're not ready to pay for a subscription, check it out for free first. Get your feet wet and check out some of the free content we have. Sign up for a free subscription. And when you're ready, use the sign-up code DeeperDive to get you 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus subscription. So, Adam, right now, Cleveland's got the 3rd highest aggregate ownership we're seeing. And top stack potential or probability around 6%. So it's in the top 5 or 6. Is Cleveland against Dylan Cease one of your top options today?
I think a lot will depend on the ownership update, because I agree with Alex that we might have them a little low right now. But as of the ownership before the show, I'm getting to some Cleveland, not a ton, but it's a pitcher in Cease that has really good stuff. He doesn't have really good control though, so he's at risk of putting extra guys on base, and there is power in the Cleveland lineup. They're really affordable for the most part. So I think that if their ownership doesn't go too crazy, then I'm pretty interested in the Indians.
Okay. That you know what? Let's see. We're good. Let's move on. Talk about Atlanta and Toronto. We'll go to you, Alex. Mike Foltynewicz and Wilmer Font. Do we know who is coming in after him?
TJ something.
Okay. Okay.
It's a weird last name. Zeuch.
Zeuch.
Yeah.
I guess he's not in the player pool.
I'm not sure.
Not that it matters, but
Yeah.
I wanted to know. I wanted to know I wanted to know how to spell his name. Unimportant. Toronto and Atlanta. Foltynewicz, Wilmer Font. Do you like Folty here, Alex? I think what we could consider somewhat of a discount. It's just a matter of which version of Folty is going to show up today, and it's been really hard to predict that all season long.
Yeah, I think he's really taking a step back this year, but still a pretty good pitcher. Well, his exit was 5, so maybe not as good as we're used to, but he has gotten 21% Ks this year, which is decent. I like the matchup, though. The lineup the Blue Jays are running out has 7 out of 9 positions with above average strikeout guys. All in all, I have it about 15% better than average. They even have the pitcher spot, but unfortunately, I'm not projecting Wilmer Font to really get any at-bats, so that's not really making much of a difference. So I think the matchup is decent. The price is pretty reasonable across the industry, so I'll probably be willing to take some chances here.
Okay. Foltynewicz, Adam, I mean, on paper, I think it's obvious that you can see the upside here. It's just there's also a lot of risk. Which side are you on?
Yeah, I don't think that he's a bad player or anything like that. The problem I'm having is that, like I said when we talked about Keller, I'm just not getting to that mid-range a ton. And when I do, I would rather go to Keller because I think he's a better pitcher. I think that his matchup's a little bit better. So I'm just not getting to a lot of Foltynewicz, but he's not someone where if I were getting more, I'd be upset. Like, I think it's an okay spot. I just don't like him as much as I like Keller. I'm getting a little bit more John Lester in that same price range as well.
Okay. Are you getting to anything from this game?
I'm getting tons of Braves. Right now, we have them as the second highest top stack percentage, and their ownership not really matching up to that. Like, we have them getting ownership, but not enough to, or not as much as they probably should be. The pitcher coming in after Font, TJ Z, really, really good ground ball numbers at AAA. 57.1% ground ball percentage, but a 2.1 K minus BV percentage, 11.6% strikeout percentage. Batted balls just, for the most part, aren't going to play well in the major leagues. You know, these guys are too good of hitters for that. The ball's obviously jumping this year. They have a 6.5 implied run total, and they've just got a really, really good offense that is affordable. So I'm getting to a lot of Atlanta right now.
Okay. Alex, talk to me about the bats here for the Atlanta Braves. Are they one of your preferred stacks today as well?
Yeah, I like them a lot. There's so many good options on the slate that I think that ownership's going to be spread out enough that you can go to Atlanta. One of the highest team totals is 6.6. A bullpen game, which isn't ideal, but they're really jumping out as great values tonight. Especially on FanDuel, where the whole lineup looks a little bit underpriced, as well as Yahoo. And on DraftKings, the first 4 batters are all great values, and the next 4 are just kind of a little bit above average. So I think that you can make some really nice stacks here. And if the ownership continues to be reasonable, I'll have a lot of them.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds about right to me. I do have some interest in Folty, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about how volatile he's been this season. But he has cut down on the long ball a little bit. what is the so Atlanta is a 201 favorite here with a monster total. So I think both sides of it are pretty interesting, if not a little bit scary for Mike Fultonevich. Adam, Milwaukee and Houston, Zach Greinke, Jordan Lyles. Well, let's start with Greinke here. At Miller Park against a pretty decent, a wealth of quality lefties. Although it's really not what it was a little while ago, especially with Mike Moustakas out. Is this a spot where you're willing to look at Greinke if he's at the right price?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I don't think he's really at the right price. Like he's a good pitcher. It's not the most intimidating lineup, but he doesn't strike out a ton of guys. He's not as good for DFS, I don't think, as he is in real life. And you're kind of paying for the name value here. So it's pretty tough for me to get to him. Like I think he probably has a decent game. I don't love Milwaukee bats or anything, but 10.2 on FanDuel, 9,800 on DraftKings, and 47 on Yahoo. I think that comparing him to other pitchers around him, he just doesn't compare that well.
Okay. Do you feel the same way, Alex? Or are you different here on Zach Greinke?
Yeah, I just think there are too many good pitchers on the slate, and he's not really the greatest fantasy pitcher. I like the strikeouts in this Milwaukee Brewers lineup, but they are a pretty strong lineup as far as run production. So I don't really see much need to go for him.
What about bats here?
I think that there are a couple guys that I'm liking. A couple of really good values. Travis Shaw, really terrible season, but we know he's got some talent at least. Hopefully he's turned it around since his last stint in the majors. Trent Grisham continues to be cheap across the industry, a guy that has power, can get steals. Abraham Toro seems to be a staple of DraftKings lineups, sub-K, 3K every week, and I mean, the matchup is decent. This is a guy who's a little bit below average across the board in stats, but the lineup spot isn't terrible. And then I think the Houston stack is in play. Pretty good team total. Low ownership is the main appeal there, and talent.
Okay. Adam, I'm assuming you're not on Jordan. Are you on Jordan Lyles at all?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that price point is pretty egregious. What about hitters on either side?
Not getting to a whole lot of bats in this game right now. I don't think the idea of Houston is terrible, but it's just not something I'm getting to at the moment. The exception is Travis Shaw, though. He's batting sixth. He's 2,300 on DraftKings. He hit much better at AAA this year once he went down. You know, obviously you expect that, but what jumps out is that he has a 32.5% strikeout percentage in the majors this year. His strikeout percentage at AAA was 21.3%. Normally, you're not going to see that kind of a gap unless something changed. So his plate discipline numbers are just much better at AAA. Had a 301 ISO at AAA. Seems like he figured out whatever was wrong with him, and he certainly has a track record of being a pretty good major league hitter. So I think he's just too cheap.
Okay. Anything else on this one, Alex, from either side?
I think the Milwaukee stack, it could pop up in your projection or in your optimizers, but they're a little bit too high on for me.
Okay. San Francisco, St. Louis, Alex. Jack Flaherty against San Francisco. You're not getting a real discount on him anymore. Derek Rodriguez was utter garbage last week at high ownership. Well, he's back against St. Louis. He's 5K on DraftKings, so he is coming in at a discount, but for good reason. Talk to me about this pitching matchup on both sides.
Flaherty, a guy with a ton of talent. He has seen his price go up considerably, now 10K or more on DraftKings and FanDuel, 50 on Yahoo. He's not really going to cut it as top talent compared to Clevenger, and you can't really I don't really see any need to go for him. Derek Rodriguez is definitely not in a good enough spot to really justify, given that he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's going up against a lineup that's decent on the road. So I don't really see any reason to go there.
Okay. Adam, do you?
Getting a little bit of Flaherty, not getting any Rodriguez, not getting tons of Flaherty either, though. I think that on a lot of slates, Flaherty would be like the number one option. But on this particular slate, it's just pretty tough to get to him when you have Clevenger, when you have Scherzer. He has made some improvements. He's been throwing his slider more, particularly against lefties. And that's caused his strikeout percentage to jump from about 20% from the start of the year through the end of June to about 26.5% against lefties since then. And overall, his strikeout percentage since then is 32%. So he's definitely made improvements. He's pitching really, really well, but it's still just hard for me to prioritize him at his salary over someone like Clevenger at his.
Okay. Do you have anything to say about Derek Rodriguez?
He's really bad, and now he's not pitching in San Francisco.
I think that sums it up. What about hitters? Again,
I think the Cardinals are decent. Maybe a little bit overowned because they are a lot of good values. I think Paul Goldschmidt stands out. 4,200 on DraftKings is a really, really good price tag for him. Marcell Ozuna is underpriced. Paul DeJong gives you a high upside shortstop option. So I think the Cardinals are a decent stack. I just think they may be a little bit too popular.
Okay. Makes sense to me. And it's funny because this is a Cardinals team that had been very cheap for a long while, Alex. Not necessarily the case anymore. In a solid spot against Rodriguez. I don't know that they're that expensive, but most of them are above that 4K mark, at least on DraftKings. Any interest here with Rodriguez out of San Francisco targeting these Cardinal bats?
I agree with Paul Goldschmidt. I've seen his ISO steadily climbing, so I'm not really worried about his slump to start the season. The price is just too good on DraftKings in particular. And then the sack, I'm kind of lukewarm on because 5.5 team total at home, that's not going to really stand out compared to the other options. I'm not sure the ownership is low enough for them to be a sleeper.
Okay. Staying with you then. We'll move to the next game here. Cubs, Seattle Mariners. Adam, I now see what you mean when you said it's a very straightforward slate. Alex, let's talk about the Cubs and Mariners. John Lester, Felix Hernandez. Lester, not everywhere, but on FanDuel is getting quite a bit of ownership, actually projected for the highest ownership among any pitcher on FanDuel, which is pretty interesting, although it is a Seattle team that has been forced – I'm sorry, by the way, with the update, let me just make sure. Yeah, with the update, it's still the same. Seattle team, though, that has really been forced to run out a bunch of lefties, whether they want to or not, even against lefties. And it's not as bad today, though. Only 3 lefties against Lester. This is the first time in a little while we haven't seen at least 4 of them in the lineup. The thing, though, is none of these righties are good. And the reason, I shouldn't say none. Most of them aren't good. They're in an NL park, so they have to go up against so they have to throw Felix Hernandez into the lineup as well. And to do you one further, Dan Vogelbach, he is a lefty, but he's still a power bat with 29 home runs. He's not in the lineup. It's an ugly lineup for the Mariners once again.
Yeah, it's definitely below average. I think that the matchup's pretty good for Lester. I don't think the conditions are great for pitching. It's super humid in Chicago right now, mid-70s. And I'm thinking the wind must be a factor here given the over-under of 10. So I think that Lester is playable just because he's been mispriced on FanDuel and Yahoo. I mean, he's just like an average pitcher at this point, almost exactly average xFIP at 4.35, 22% Ks, just a hair below average. And the matchup is pretty good. As you were saying, Seattle playing interleague, and their lineup it already stinks. So throwing in another bad player only helps. And on FanDuel, Yahoo is priced a little bit too low, so I think that it makes sense to go to him.
Okay. John Lester for you, Adam. I know you're not a big Lester guy, but I don't know. It's a pretty tasty matchup. Is that enough to get onto him?
Yeah, especially FanDuel and Yahoo. Like Alex said, he's just mispriced on those sites. He's one of the cheapest viable pitchers at $33 on Yahoo. $7,100 on FanDuel is really, really cheap. $8,400 on DraftKings is fine. I'm getting some, but like right now we have him projected at 20% ownership. I can't imagine that I get there. But any Lester I get, I'm okay with, because it is a pretty bad Seattle lineup. You have some guys that could do damage like Murphy, Seager, maybe Austin Nola, but overall it's a good matchup. So on sites where he's really cheap, I think he's a good play.
Okay. What about hitters here? Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, I like the Cubs. They were one of my highest. They were my second highest owned stack in my crunch before the show. Not sure that might change because Chris Bryant was scratched about 15 minutes ago and replaced with Ian Happ. So they're a really good value stack. I mean, they have a 6.3 implied run total, and the most expensive hitter in their lineup on DraftKings is Anthony Rizzo at 4,800. Other than Rizzo and Contreras, nobody's above 4,300. So Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, Ben Zobrist, all great values at the top of that order. They're a team that I could see getting a lot of ownership as we update our projections before lock. But where it was before the show started, I was getting to a lot of Cubs because I do think it's one of the better spots on the slate.
Okay. Do you like hitters here from the Cubs against Hernandez? Alex, is this a spot that you find yourself targeting? And let me pull it up right now just to refresh this. Wrigley Field weather right now, winds blowing out at 13 miles per hour.
Yeah, I really like them tonight. I think that Chris Bryant being scratched only adds to the value of the team.
Mm-hmm.
He was replaced by Daniel Descalso, who is basically the minimum price across the industry. He's batting 6th, so that's just one more reason to make a Cubs stack. I think their ownership will be high, but not quite as high as a normal night because there is one team to come where the value is even better. For that reason, I think maybe they'll be a little bit lower owned than how good of a value they are. So I can see myself landing on them more than another night where I think they'd go higher owned if there wasn't this other option.
Did you say you have Descalso batting 6th?
Yeah.
I've had.
Let me. I think that Brian was scratched. And
Yeah, he was. But
okay.
I see Happ in there. I see Happ batting 6th as well.
I'm not sure what happened there. All right, cool.
I think your point stands, though. Happ's a really good value, too.
Awesome. Well, Ian Happ is a great value at batting 6th in the order.
Yeah, he is a good value, and he's a better hitter than Daniel Descalso, so I'm okay with that. Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports is the sponsor of the Deeper Dive, and I've said it once, I'll say it again because you need to hear it. If you haven't gotten into these NFL contests yet, got to do it. And if you haven't signed up yet, if you haven't deposited yet, you got to do it now because they've got the $1 Million Baller coming up, 100,000 to first place, 25 to enter, and it's only 10 entry max, so there's no MME, no 150 entries. $1 million prize pool with a 0 management fee. So every dollar that we put into it comes back out to us. The $100K, $10 to enter, $20K to first, 10 max. They're all 10 max at most. $4K to first for the $1 25K contest. There's something for everyone. And if you sign up through us at awesemo.com, you'll get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points, which are as good as cash to use on the site to play and win real money. All you have to do is go to awesemo.com, AWESEMO.com.
Yeah, I'm not even waiting till Sunday to play on Yahoo, man. I've been grinding their best balls, just like super, super easy competition. I don't know. Have you guys been playing those at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they have best ball.
No, on Yahoo.
They have Money League best ball on Yahoo now.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty crazy because you can only play one at a time. Like on draft, you can like multi-table essentially. So it's just like it takes an hour. So like the amount of good players in each draft is just like at the minimum.
Yeah, no question about it. It's a lot of fun. And of course they have the MLB contest as well. 2K to first tonight and the $15 12K. But I want to stress these NFL contests just because it's like it is your best investment in terms of where you're putting money into week 1, right? It truly is. DraftKings has some of those cool flash contests with guaranteed overlay, but this one, $1 million to $1 million 100K to first. It's not even close to filled yet. Maybe it won't fill. Go to awesemo.com, click on the Spotlight Hitters article. Just go to the MLB tab in the articles. You'll see it right at the top. It's totally free. And click the link to Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports right at the top, right at the beginning of the article. Get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points and start playing today. They are the sponsor of the Deeper Dive. All right, fellas, let's keep it going. Adam, Kansas City and Detroit. Daniel Norris and Drew Verhagen expected to be the long man here. He's not been terrible recently. Actually been pretty okay. And then Montgomery, on the flip side of this game, has been very impressive recently outside of one start against Baltimore. He is garnering a lot of ownership. You mentioned earlier that you didn't want to, what is his name? Dobnik. You didn't want him at 4K. Well, do you want Mike Montgomery at 4,300, who right now on DraftKings is coming in as the highest owned pitcher, 30%, and only 2% on Yahoo, of course, because he's $37. But this feels like a significant pricing error on Montgomery.
Yeah, I think it's a DraftKings specific play, but if he's going to be 30% owned, I'll be overweight on him there. I think he's basically a league average pitcher, and he's essentially the minimum salary on DraftKings facing the Tigers, who this particular lineup isn't as bad as some Tigers lineups because they do have Cabrera in it and they do have Candelario back, but it's still not a good lineup. Montgomery has a 4 Sierra since joining Kansas City. He's struck out about 21% of hitters. He started throwing a cutter that he didn't have in the past. And the thing that really jumps out to me is over those 6 starts, he has an elite chase percentage on pitches out of the zone. If among qualified starters, he would rank 5th if he qualified in that stat. So he's getting guys to chase pitches, which is always a good thing. He's just a pretty average pitcher at a below average price on DraftKings. I don't think that you need to get there on Yahoo or on FanDuel, though, where he's more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, DraftKings obviously messed up on this price point, right?
Yeah, I think there was some confusion about whether he was going to start tonight or not. I think it may have been a late announce, so that could explain why. He's just so incredibly cheap on DraftKings on a slate where you probably want to have a cheap pitcher, so that's a no-brainer.
Okay. Do you have any interest in bats here? Or, I mean, if you want to talk about Drew Verhagen, we can go ahead and do that. Not sure how much interest you'd have here. But what are your thoughts on bats and Verhagen on both of these guys?
Verhagen, I've seen in his game log, he pitches usually around 60. One game he went 100. I mean, not really any incentive to go there. Daniel Norris also on a pitch count. Mike Montgomery is so popular on DraftKings. I kind of like a leverage play, and especially if you're in some smaller tournaments, like maybe 100 people or less, where that can really get you to first more easily. But I'm seeing some good values on Detroit, like Willie Castro, Miguel Cabrera, Candelario. Just really cheap, not great players, but I could see some potential there. On FanDuel and Yahoo, without the leverage of going against a popular pitcher, I don't really see much reason to go there.
Okay. Do you have any difference of opinion here, Adam?
Nope. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Detroit, it's for the leverage on DraftKings specifically. So I agree.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move it forward. 3 games to go. Arizona, San Diego. Alex, Merrill Kelly, and Ronald Bolanos. I'm going to try. Well, first of all, what do you know about him? What do you know about the pitcher? Because I don't know much about him. The young righty from San Diego Padres.
Well, I'm seeing an accent over the end, so I'm guessing maybe Spanish.
Is it Bolaños?
Yes, I think it's probably Bolaños, but that's not really. I was just joking. I don't know much about him, but from his minor league stats, I'm guessing that he'll strike out about 20%. He's been going kind of like 20 batters, which is about 5 innings in the minors on average starts. But I think that I'll have him on DraftKings because he's so cheap. The matchup versus Arizona is definitely not an easy one. It's a team with above average power. They strike out just a tiny bit below average. But I think that Bolaños should probably be priced more like 6K, and he's 4K. So I'll take that savings any day.
Okay. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think he's fine on DraftKings. As of right now, I'm not really getting there just because I'm just playing Montgomery. But not a great matchup against Arizona. Not a ton of strikeouts. They do have some good bats in their lineup. But I think that if you're looking for a pivot away from Montgomery, he's the best option in that price range. I think he's better than the guy pitching for the Blue Jays. I think he's better than Verhagen. I think he's better than Derek Rodriguez. So I don't have an issue with that, but I don't think I'll end up getting to a lot.
Okay. Do you have any interest in Merrill Kelly against San Diego?
Not really. Got him in a couple of lineups. He's inexpensive. It's a decent park for pitchers. The Padres aren't really any good, but their lineup now doesn't strike out as much as it has for a lot of the season. Kelly's really not good, has about an 18.5% strikeout percentage, and it's just not a price point that I'm finding I really need to get to all that much.
All right. Do you have interest here in Kelly against the K-heavy Padres team, Alex?
Yeah, I agree with Adam. It's not the easiest matchup for K's tonight. Only 2 players are above average in their lineup. But I think that the price is pretty good on FanDuel at 6K, where he's probably one of the cheapest viable pitchers because the matchup is decent. And on Yahoo, he's 32. So if you want to go double cheap pitchers, I could see doing that. But not a great pitcher, only 19% Ks so far this year. The team total against him is 4.8, so that's a little bit below average. So I think you're going to get what you pay for.
Okay. What about hitters? Either side of this game stand out to you? I mean, it obviously doesn't project to be a particularly high-scoring game, but neither of these guys are aces either.
I think Josh Rojas batting second is probably a cash and GPP play on all 3 sites. Just like really bargain bin prices. This guy, he steals bases, which I like, and he's got passable power. Pretty good player, probably overall, for that price. So I think that he makes a really nice play across the industry. And then for the overall team ownership, I think both teams might be a little bit too high on for the potential. But I think that maybe some nice lineups out.
All right. Adam, what about bats here? Either side, Arizona, San Diego, at Chase Field. Does anything stand out to you other than the guys that Alex just talked about?
No, I agree with his take on Rojas. I think that's a really good spot. But overall, it's just not a game that I anticipate getting a lot of outside of the value that Rojas offers.
All right. What about Oakland and LA? Adam, going to you. Mike Fiers, Jaime Burria. Anything?
I kind of like some Oakland bats. They're not my top stack, but they're a stack I'm looking like I'll definitely have exposure to. Jaime Burria will give up some power to right-handed hitters. You have Matt Chapman, Mark Canha, probably Chris Davis, Josh Fegley. Like you have some right-handed power here. Not a great park, but they do have a 5.5 implied run total. So I don't mind getting to some of them.
Do you have any interest in this, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the other game. I think that Oakland's pretty interesting, like Adam said, across the industry. They're going kind of overlooked tonight. The Angels have some nice value plays too, like Ohtani and Trout. But I'm more interested in one-offs for the Angels because most of the lineup really doesn't have that good pricing or talent.
All right. And no pitching from either side on this one. You don't want a 9K plus Mike Fiers?
Dude, he hasn't lost the game in 20 starts. How do you not roster him?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah, he's like 1 start away from setting or tying the A's record.
That's crazy. Not straight wins, but straight non-losses, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. 13-3 on the season. My God. And he's got a no-no under his belt.
Yeah.
That's something impressive. Adam, I just to make sure, no pitching in this. Do you have any interest in?
No.
Okay.
Just a tough spot for both guys. Neither one's an above average strikeout pitcher either.
Anything else you wanted to talk about as far as Oakland or LA hitters go?
I agree on the Angels one-offs. Mike Trout should never be 4,900 on any slate, especially against Mike Fiers. And then Ohtani is mispriced also.
Okay. So let's talk last game. Dodgers, Rockies, Adam, Julio Urias And oh man, the guy got rocked so hard at Coors the other day. I think we all saw it coming. Maybe not to this extent, but Chichi Gonzalez got through 2 outs, 2/3 of an inning,
Yeah.
7 runs. It was disastrous. 27 pitches, and he gone.
Yeah, that was a really fun game if you had a ton of Pirates.
Did you not?
No, I did.
Oh,
I
yeah,
really enjoyed it.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No.
Urias against Colorado, Chichi Gonzalez against the Dodgers. Do you want to talk about Urias here? Is there any real possibility that he can get somewhat deep into this game?
He's supposed to be capped around 45 pitches, so that takes any interest in him away. Otherwise, I think it would be kind of interesting, but just not going to go deep enough that I want to mess around with him. And then I certainly not planning on getting to Chichi Gonzalez against the Dodgers.
All right. Well, the Dodger bats, Alex, against Chichi Gonzalez. We got to at least discuss these guys a little bit. I know he's been terrible at Coors in 3 starts. He's also been pretty rough on the road, though. I mean, simply enough, he's just not a very good pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, way below average by any way you slice it, and he's facing a top-tier team. It's really unusual to see the Dodgers have a team total almost 7 in LA, and that's what we're seeing tonight. Let me just double-check the weather because that does seem like pretty anomalous. Actually, it's like super hot in LA today, so I guess it'll be around 80 at first pitch, so I can explain that. So good weather for the park, good matchup, and the prices are just super low, especially their leadoff hitter, or their new leadoff hitter, I should say, Gavin Lux. Not a great player, but kind of one of their prospects that's more highly touted. He was a first-round pick a few years back. He's not like a great stolen base or on-base guy, so it's a little peculiar that he's leading off. But the price is dirt cheap, so we actually have him projected to be the most popular player on FanDuel tonight.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Adam?
Yeah, I think that he's like the best value hitter on the slate. It's obviously a really good matchup against Gonzalez. He's one of the top hitting prospects in baseball. Playing in the PCL this year, and with the newly introduced juice baseballs, 327 ISO, but obviously the baseballs are the same in the majors, so they'll still jump. It's just a really good spot. 3,500 on DraftKings is nice. 14 on Yahoo's fine, but 2K on FanDuel is just pretty crazy. So obviously you can always fade popular hitters, but I think that he's a great play.
All right. Well, that's about it. 4 minutes to go here. Let's talk about some top stacks on today's slate. Adam, you mentioned to me before the show that this was a straightforward slate that's pretty easy to discuss. Being that that's the case, are there any ways do you think to get different, to go with the, as we say, anti-optimizer stacks? Anything that stands out to you to make it less straightforward and less obvious tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the way it's shaping up for me is just a slate where I expect to be pretty concentrated at pitching and then kind of spread out amongst offenses. But there are also some offenses that I think really stand out, at least right now, as good tournament plays. Looking at the top stack tool on DraftKings, like you're going to get a lot of ownership going to the Dodgers, which is fine. You're going to get a lot going to the Cubs, which I think makes sense. But teams like Atlanta, Boston, Minnesota, that are all in pretty decent spots, look like they're going to go under-owned. And so I think that just being heavy on some teams like that have a ceiling just as high as anyone else, but lower ownership is going to be the way to go.
All right. What are your thoughts, Alex? Ways to mix it up a little bit today? Any anti-optimizer stack that you want the listeners, the viewers to know about?
Yeah, I agree with Adam that it's pretty obvious kind of like where the plays are. So I think it'll be easy to be contrary today by finding these stacks that normally would be the highest owned, but today, just because of teams like the Dodgers, will have lower ownership than normal. Teams like Atlanta, Boston, Minnesota, Houston, these are high on my list. And I think that it'll be there are some plays that are just like so good today that it might be hard to get away from them, but the ownership might justify that decision.
Okay. Well, We've reached the end of the road. That'll do it for us. Before you head out, if you enjoyed the show, you want to see more, and you want to help support us at Awesemo, hit that thumbs up button, like the show. It does help us out very much, and we're greatly appreciative. Subscribe, hit the notification bell as well, and stick around because coming up right here on the same page, you don't need to go anywhere, is what we would call Live Before Lock. You've got Josh and you've got Chris Randone, Josh Engelman, of course, and Chris Randone. They're going to take you up until 7:05 Eastern time. But meanwhile, Josh has been laboring over some new music, and he's going to pump out some jams for you while you wait for them to get set up. Don't go anywhere. This has been the Deeper Dive presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. We'll be back with you tomorrow to break down another full slate of baseball games. And remember, NFL Strategy Show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's Spags and myself tomorrow morning. Going to be pumping out a ton of NFL content. Alex will be on with Ben Rasa Thursday night to break down the showdown slate and a whole lot more. Be sure when we release our full schedule to check it out. Become familiar with it. This is going to be your home for a long time. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Deeper Dive.
Boom. We are live. I can't stop thinking it's Monday. Tuesday, September 3rd. The holiday day really gets me. Live before lock. Myself, Chris Randone, here to break down the final hour before lock. 12-game slate. I think we're all good from a weather perspective. Chris, how was your holiday weekend?
It was good, man. I was waiting out the hurricane because the eye was coming straight from my hometown, so I had to keep up to date with my mom, make sure she was okay.
Yeah, I will. I'll be doing that little journey over the next 2 days or so. Coming for me in like 36 hours. Yeah, it's coming for me straight on. I'll get it like late Wednesday, probably all day Thursday, and then we'll see where we're at from there.
You should be good. Where are you in, Florence?
Wilmington.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I'm used to it at this point. We got a good spot, so I'm not super worried. But trees are my biggest issue. We got a lot of really tall trees around my house, so as long as I can keep those things off of my house, I think we'll be all right.
All right, I like that.
All right, let's get the plugs out of the way first, and then we'll get started. Live Before Lock is the promo code. 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus, any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. If you are interested in signing up and seeing everything we have to offer, NFL, MLB, MMA, PGA, NASCAR, college football, sports betting, I'm sure I missed something, baseball, obviously. Use the promo code Live Before Lock and come check us out. And then live before lock, we're brought to you by FantasyDraft. If you are interested in $1,000 of rake-free entry fees over your first 7 days, go to FantasyDraft.com, use the promo code AWESOMO. You will not save more money by any other promotion you could possibly get. To not have to pay a single cent of rake for $1,000 worth of entry fees is massive. Trust me on this one. You want to try that out. There's no reason not to check it out. It's essentially free to you if you are playing $1,000 or less. Anyway, go check that stuff out. Chris, how do you feel about the chalk pitcher for today, Mike Montgomery?
Oh man, I mean, I wrote him up today. It's so hard not to roster him. I think it made more sense as far as a leverage play in like a single entry tournament, like Alex was mentioning, or like a shorter field. But it's just one of those things where he allows you to do so many different things with your lineup and fit in so many different bats.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I find myself pairing him with Clevenger, and that just gives me all the room in the world to do kind of what I want. And I feel like on tonight's slate, I'd rather have that option than kind of, not have that option. So I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to not have a good, decent amount of shares of him.
I'm on the same page. I ran a crunch during the deeper dive and got like somewhere in the 40% range, which I honestly wanted more, and I was a little surprised I didn't get more. I think that's just sort of a testament to how I feel about Fulte and Mitch Keller, and to a lesser extent Merrill Kelly, which doesn't make me feel good when I say that out loud. But he opens up everything. 4,300 is simply too cheap for a guy with his sort of projection. I want to have him everywhere, whether that unlocks Clevenger or Flaherty. If you get him with Fulte or Keller, you have infinite money for bats after that. He's just too good of a value. So I think we're on the same page with Montgomery.
Yeah, he just projects too well. I mean, I like wanted to look deeper into the matchup and really see if there was anything I could pull that would make me want to go to the other side or just fade him. But there's not one thing.
No.
And it's not like we're saying he's such a great pitcher. It's the fact that he should be priced at like 6,300.
Yep.
For this matchup. So it's completely a price error, and I feel like it's in the benefit of us. So, yeah, he's going to have a lot of ownership, but it just kind of makes sense, and he doesn't need to do much to get there, and he's in a really good matchup. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the real key. He doesn't need to do much to like be functional, but he also has the opportunity to put up like, let's say 18 to 20, which is lethal at his price point.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have him and he puts that up, I mean, you're probably not even going to cash.
Yeah, if he goes north of 20, which I'd say happens, I don't know, like 20, 25% of the time, 30.
Mm-hmm.
If he does that, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
You need, if you have like Bolanos or something, you need him to do it then too. Otherwise, it's going to be so hard to make up that value.
Absolutely.
So on the other end, we've got Montgomery at 4,300. All the way at the top, Mike Clevenger, 12-2. The literal chalk, the most owned pitcher on the entire slate. That surprises me just because of his price, but I understand it. I don't disagree with it. He's the best option to me. Is he the best option to you?
Yeah, Clevenger has a really good matchup. He's just had some dynamic stuff lately. And, he has the best K rate on the slate. So against a team that does strike out a lot, the White Sox offense just hasn't been clicking lately. And there's a lot of great spots in that lineup for him to pick apart. The only thing that is kind of weird that I thought about was the wind is blowing ridiculously out to right field. It's like 16 miles an hour. So, I'm just hoping that, those balls kind of stay in play. And, outside of that, there's really not much that scares me in this matchup.
Do you have any issues with his ownership anywhere?
No, because once again, it's like, I don't want to pay down for Scherzer just because I don't know if he's going to get to that pitch count that we desire. I think he's still in like that rehab kind of position where 80, 90 pitches he's done. And also the Mets don't strike out a lot. So there's a lot of power in that Mets lineup that could get to Scherzer. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I just feel like it's more of a difficult matchup than Clevenger. So I'd rather just pay the 12-2. And DeGrom, I mean, it's something where I want to pay for him. And I'm still trying to figure out if I can fit him in more because I don't have enough of him. And I feel like he's one of those pitchers that would definitely perform tonight, and I won't have enough of him. So I'm trying to figure that out now.
I don't get the sense that I'm going to have a ton of either Scherzer or DeGrom either. The guy that I'm seeing at the top, if I'm going to someone that isn't Clevenger, is probably Jack Flaherty.
Yeah.
I just like that combination of price. I'm not super worried about the Giants. It is a lot of lefties, but I don't think that is something to like truly worry about for Flaherty because it's not like they're all good lefties. Park helps a little bit, great for righty or not great for righty power. So it's only going to be Longoria, Pilar, and Dubon. But if I need to get to someone other than Clevenger, my guess is that Flaherty is the guy. But we've got Scherzer, DeGrom, Flaherty, and Greinke, all like just jammed in this, basically on average 15% owned. Do you have interest in Greinke? He's a weird guy for me.
I think on Greinke, and Greinke is someone who, we hear Greinke's name and we think automatically like, he's such a great pitcher, which, he is a talented pitcher. But when it comes to DFS, it's kind of different. He doesn't perform at like that high level that you would want. And so, although though he does have a great matchup, Milwaukee has a lot of strikeouts in that lineup, and they do have one of the highest K rates against righties. So I do like this. I feel like 9,800 is more of his speed. If he was in like the 10, 11K range, I probably would put no on him. But I'm thinking right now I have about 8% Greinke, and that's just because he fits in a few lineups. So I don't mind the Greinke move. I just don't think I'll be over the field on him.
We are on the same page once again. Let's take a little bit of a step down then to sort of the upper mid-tier. John Lester, Mike Foltynewicz, Mitch Keller, 3 guys getting some ownership in this area. Everybody else is sort of just 1%ers. Who stands out most to you between Lester, Folty, and Keller? I think they're all like equal. So I'm curious what your thought is.
Yeah, I think they're all equal.
Okay.
I think it's better to have a few of each rather than be sold on one. I think one of these guys will definitely have a great night tonight. However, though, which one that is, I'm not sure. But if I had to guess one of them and lean towards one person, I would probably say Keller.
So I never expected to get a lot of Keller today. And then as I was entering all the data into my sheet this morning, he just immediately jumped off the page and I couldn't figure out what was going on. But, I've got him projected for 6 innings. The Marlins are the Marlins. It's not a great park. It's decent for lefty power. They have 2 lefties in their lineup, so it's not like they're playing directly into Mitch Keller's hands. The fact that he is the cheapest of that trio of Lester, Folty, and himself is the reason that I think that I get a lot more. So if I had to guess, I would flip-flop the Foltynewicz ownership and the Keller ownership. And I think that's probably going to be a little bit easier for me, but I think I'm going to see a lot of like Mitch Keller plus Mike Montgomery and then every single amazing bat that has ever existed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I like Folty too. I think when I think about it, there's more power in that Toronto lineup than there is that Miami lineup. So I like to kind of risk or limit myself from facing a lineup that has a potent offense that I'm going to have a lot of shares of the pitchers. So I'm not saying that they're the greatest team out there. I'm just saying that they produce more of a threat than I would say that the Miami Marlins do.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm more scared that Folty gets blown up by the Blue Jays than I am that Mitch Keller gets blown up by the Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more power in Toronto's lineup than there is in that Miami lineup. I mean, Blue Jays have a run total like more than a half run north of the Marlins as well. I do think it's interesting that the Blue Jays are getting essentially no ownership. Does that intrigue you? Are you trying to get there against that ownership?
I have a couple one-offs of the Blue Jays. So, I other than that, though, I don't have many stacks. And I don't know if that's just because of how my crunches have ran so far or kind of what I'm seeing in my projections. But one-offs for sure, but not necessarily. I don't have many stacks, if any, actually, against Folty.
Okay. I assume that I get more one-offs than anything else. I see guys like Vlad Guerrero Jr., Rowdy Tellez, Grichuk, looking like really solid values, all below 4K on DraftKings, all 2,900 or less on FanDuel. Tellez is $8 on Yahoo. I think that's probably one of the better value spots. Being able to get lefty-righty on Fulte at next to no money is always a decent idea.
I do have a few shares of Bo Taylor, cheap catcher, lefty righty matchup.
Yeah.
Just he was able to fit in some lineups.
I get it. To be able to get a lefty bat against Fultonevich and a catcher at that at a very discounted salary, no problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Let's see. Are there any pitchers that you think are flying under the radar?
When looking at it, it's funny because I was thinking of that right before the show. I was like, is Flaherty's ownership, has it changed?
He is at 14% right now on DK.
Okay. I kind of like Merrill Kelly at 6,600.
Yeah, I do too. Go ahead.
It hurts me to say this because I don't feel confident whatsoever, but I feel like it's the time I should be confident solely based on the fact that, that San Diego offense definitely has a lot of strikeouts in there. And I feel like for once, can Merrill Kelly just have a game where he gets those 4 or 5 strikeouts, throws 5 or 6 innings, but doesn't give up that run potential. So I don't know. I just feel like I like Kelly, and I know that maybe I should be kicking myself for saying that, but outside of that, there's not really anyone else that I'm interested in. None of these other guys really scream anything for me as far as confidence in them hitting value.
So are we dying on Merrill Kelly Hill together, I guess? I'm going to have more than that 8% number that he's at.
Yeah, I think so too. I just feel like he's a pitcher in that price range that has the best opportunity to get there rather than anyone else. I don't see Cease doing it. I don't see Porcello doing it. I don't see Felix doing it at all. And then Detroit, they swap out pitchers, so they're only going to get 3 innings maybe from Norris, and then they're going to switch to Verhagen. So yeah, it's just I mean, I just feel like Merrill Kelly at 6,600. I mean, why not?
Oh, it's going to be one of those days. There are days recently where I've had a decent amount of Merrill Kelly, and it went exactly like you would expect.
Oh,
super
100%.
Poorly. Poorly.
That just happened to me. So I already know. It's I mean, I think you got to roster Merrill Kelly expecting the worst and just hoping for a miracle.
I can handle that, especially at 8% owned. If he's not really getting much ownership, then I won't feel so bad if he just completely dies out there. I'm just happy we finally got that 100%. A's lineup at the beginning of the show, so I can start crunches here. I've got DK halfway done, deep into the FanDuel crunch.
Man, are you on the Athletics?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like a lot. I mean, I don't have to get too crazy because no one else is there, which rarely makes me feel good. But when I ran my dummy crunch during the deeper dive, I had like 3 or 4 teams at the top of my list that are getting like 2 to 3% aggregate ownership, and I had like 1 to 2% of all of the chalk. And I didn't try to do that to start. So it's feeling like one of those days where I'm going to either win all of the money or 0 of the money.
Oh, man. There's no in between there? There's no in between?
I don't think so. It would really surprise me if there was an in between where I just make it. The only way that there's an in between is if I lose, if 149 of my entries are awful and one of them finishes like 4th.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my shot. That's my in between randomness. I'm either in great shape or I can pack it in before the PGA Live Before Lock show, which starts at 8 p.m. Ben Ross and Jason Roslin taking on the Porsche European Open. They're coming up at 8 p.m. So I might know that I'm dead in the water by that point.
What a plug!
Yeah. Worked it in perfectly. Roslyn lives in Tampa, so we're doing the show a day early. just in case
Nice.
things go squirrely for him.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I swapped off of Live Before Lock with Spags. So I'll be on tomorrow. He will be on Thursday because there's no guarantee that I have power. Hurricane season, man. Not fun. Let's talk.
It's like 70 degrees here. It's sunny. I love it.
It's gorgeous here right now. Absolutely bright blue sky. Couldn't have been a better day. That's going to go away.
Calm before the storm, baby.
Yeah, that's going to go away real quick. All right, I'm going to name a bunch of guys that are projected for 1% ownership. You tell me if you have any interest in anybody that I mention.
Okay.
Mike Fiers, Jordan Lyles, Sandy Alcantara, Daniel Norris, Julio Urias, Felix Hernandez, Derek Rodriguez, Randy Dobnak, Chichi Gonzalez. Any of those names sound better than 1%ers to you?
Nah, I mean, I'm not paying 9,200 for Fierce. I mean, I wrote up against him today. I feel like it's a position to fade him, especially at that price point. I mean, yeah, he's like on this big streak where 20 consecutive starts, the team has like won, or his decisions. So I mean, outside of that though, what about Julio Urias? I mean, can he pitch 4 or 5 innings, or is that just not going to happen?
I believe he is on a 45 pitch count.
Yeah. So at 6,400, it's just not worth it.
Right. I liked him this morning too before I saw that pitch count number, because he's still flat minimum on Yahoo, and I thought that was kind of appealing, but I think he's unable to be used now.
Felix Hernandez is a little interesting. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Talk to me about it.
I mean, Chicago has really kind of lost this offensive mojo the last couple of days, or last week, I should say. And I mean, Sheffield through I don't even know who Sheffield was. I thought it was Gary Sheffield's son. Comes in and throws 7 shutout innings, 5, 6 strikeouts.
Yeah. I'm sure you'd love to be Gary Sheffield's son.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah,
all day. Yeah. I mean, but I know Chicago is highly owned, so this could be like a leverage play. I mean, just in case if it just doesn't work out. And I mean, I just feel like there's strikeouts there that maybe Felix can get there. And I feel like Felix, out of all those pitchers in that bottom tier, in regards to like the 5K guys, I feel like he does have the longevity to go 6 innings. So if he goes 6 innings, he gives up 2 or 3 runs, but he gets 6 Ks. I mean, he hits value. So I feel like out of those pitchers, maybe Felix Hernandez is somewhat interesting.
Where do you land on the Cubs then?
I mean, obviously I have the Cubs.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to be like, no, this is a stance I'm taking. I'm not a big fan of the Cubs today.
No, I mean, I have the Cubs. I mean, they're priced out great. I mean, I love Hayward. I love Zorbris. Zorbris, is great value in the leadoff position. You could put him in either second base or outfield on DraftKings. So love that. There's gonna be some lefties there with some power, Schwarber, Rizzo. But Baez and Bryant out of the lineup also kind of is frustrating because those are strikeout guys, especially Bryant. So, I don't know. It's just Fernandez is just a pitcher who's gonna go 5 or 6 innings. Does he give up those many 2 or 3 runs or even more? Probably. But he could also go 5 or 6 innings and have 5 strikeouts, which would more than pay his $5,500 salary on DK.
Yeah, I see him as a comparable value to like Jaime Barria or Dylan Cease. In that, like, I don't mind if I get 3-4%. They're not total stayaways to me. Sort of like, Daniel Norris, obviously. Jordan Lyles, a guy I won't have any of. Alcantara, I won't have any of. But I could see getting a couple shares of Felix here. Lefty power dies in Chicago, and that's going to be Felix's biggest issue. So the park sets up well for him. If he can get through, I mean, it's a sea of lefties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I guess. That's not fun. But 93 park factor last year to lefty power. I mean, that's not something that's a big help for Felix Hernandez.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I've got a DraftKings crunch done. That's exciting.
Who do you have?
I'm exporting it now. It's gonna have. I will have to make some swaps because the Padres lineup came out during the crunch, which I guess I could rerun it, but I don't get the sense that I'm going to have a ton of Padres, so I'll probably just manually swap those guys on my own or use late swaptimizer. Let's pull open the crunch workbook and we'll see. This is going to be really aggressive, I believe, so people are going to have a field day with this. I feel like pitching is pretty cut and dry today. There are either guys that are very obviously plays or guys that we are wiping off the map. And I don't think there's much middle ground, which is perfect for me because I have a lot of really wonky hitting stacks that are not being represented. I'm really excited to hit refresh here and see how this shakes out.
Okay.
Let's load it up and we'll see where we stand, and then we'll get into dong picks, which that's another thing that I cannot wait to talk about. Really fulfilling conversation coming up for me.
Oh, God. What happened?
Let's just say that someone you're doing a show with right now has the highest pick rate of everybody. I wonder who that'll be.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you know what's interesting is I had Aquino, and someone said that you said it first yesterday, so I felt like I was robbed.
You were robbed. You were robbed by me.
Of my Dawn pick, even though I didn't even know that Dawn picks were even happening yet. So I was a little late to the party.
I beat you to the punch there. All right, the crunch is in. The refresh is in. Without touching anything else in the sheet, the Atlanta Braves are my highest owned stack, and I have 16% aggregate ownership to the Oakland A's, a team getting 3% aggregate ownership on DraftKings right now. I am all over Oakland. Absolute smash Oakland spot for me. Let's take a look at top stacks, actually, and see where they're coming in with Alex's info. Oakland, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have the 8th highest top stack odds, but they are basically close to double their ownership. So I'd like to say that Alex is at least mildly on my side. That helps. He loves the top stack chances for Atlanta, which is the team that came in most for me. They are quite a bit higher than their ownership share. Same situation for Boston, quite a bit over their ownership share, and they are one of my higher owned teams. I did get to a lot of the Cardinals. Is that a team you're looking at all today?
I don't think I have any Cardinals. Oh, I think I have some one-offs. I think I have some Tommy Edman one-offs.
Okay.
Yeah, but outside of that, I don't think I have much.
Not targeting against Derek Rodriguez at all?
Nah, I'm gonna have to. It's a hard pass for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with the way that crunch shook out. If I don't make any tweaks, I have 47% Mike Montgomery. I expect that number to climb a little bit. So, Team Mike Montgomery today. I'm sure today is the day that the Detroit Tigers decide to be like a functional baseball team.
Nah, you should be good. This Oakland talk has me very interested.
Highly recommended. I'm very much Team Oakland today. Jaime Barria gets absolutely bombed against right-handers, and the A's have a bit of righty power. Ooh, speaking of righty power, Chris Davis for the A's has hit 247 for his last 3 seasons. 247, 247, 247. I retweeted a tweet earlier from @Tango Tiger. Anybody that has followed sabermetrics in baseball should recognize the name, but go check my retweets to see this. He has a graph plotting out exactly what Chris Davis would need to hit in every at-bat level for the rest of the season to be able to finish exactly at 247. It's feasible.
Wow.
It's feasible. He can get
very
there.
interesting.
He needs to go on a bit of a tear. He needs to hit like 350 or so if he plays regularly through the entire month.
So basically, you want him to start the tear tonight.
I would love for him to start the tear tonight.
Is
that would be fantastic. Mostly, I just want him to hit 247 because I think it's one of the more ridiculous baseball quirks that exists. To hit the exact same, to have the same batting average like years in a row is really tricky. So I just want that to continue because it's like super awkward.
How much Felgy do you have?
How much who?
Josh Felgy.
Let's take a look.
Or Fegley. Sorry, Fegley. I don't know why I call him federally.
You're good. As of right now, 15.3%.
Okay, it's not bad.
Why did I not get any shares of Jerks in Profar?
I really like Oakland. I didn't even look at this matchup.
I'm telling you, man. That's the spot. Cool. So I didn't check Profar. I'm just going to recrunch. That's just going to be the easiest thing to do. Now that we have the Padres lineup, no reason not to. But, I mean, nothing's going to change. We've got a ton of time. I still have the crunch done, so I'm happy with where I'm at. Get ready, guys. A's are coming. A's are coming.
It's very interesting.
So
I really can't believe I overlooked them. I don't know what I was thinking.
I'll give you the goods, man. I'll give you the goods. Let me click this final button for my FanDuel crunch. I'm just going to move forward with it. I just need to switch to some 3-3 stacks, and then I'll be good to go. Then we can talk about dong picks. I had my dong pick locked and loaded, and now he's not in the lineup. I was absolutely going to Yordan Alvarez, and sure enough, not in the lineup. Kind of annoying.
Yordan?
Yeah. Super annoying. This
Tough
is going.
break.
Oh, this is going to be so satisfying. Time for dong picks, everybody. Have a little bit of update on the scoring. I didn't want to spoil it earlier, so we'll get to it now. Currently, in the top spot in total picks, Jake and Emac are tied at 29. They have both. Jake has missed 9 straight. Emac has missed 7 straight. So they are looking to get off the schneid. I am sitting at 26, 3 back. Spags at 22. Chris, you are at 10. But the most important piece here is, in my opinion, is pick rate. That puts us all on the same playing field, just in case we're missing picks. You came in midway point of the season, so totals were always going to be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
The number 1 man in pick rate right now in the dong contest, right here. Good old Josh.
How's it feel?
It feels great. 23.1%. Jake in second, 22.8%. Emac in third. So the miss of Phillip Ervin pushed you back behind Spags in pick rate, which bums me out because I was really enjoying the fact that you passed him while he was on vacation. So these are going to be very important. The floor is yours. Who will be your home run pick for today? I don't want to steal anybody from you.
I think the first question is, what is the pick rate percentage that you have?
I have 23.1%.
Okay, and then what is the rest, real quick?
22.8 for Jake.
Yeah.
21.8 for Emac.
Okay.
21.5 for Chris. Bags, obviously. 21.1 for you.
All right. Well, that's what I'm going for. I'm going for the pick rate.
As you should. As you should.
So my Dawn pick tonight, and I'm going to take this very serious, actually.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with Yasel Puig.
I think that's a very solid pick for today. He is in a very nice spot.
Yeah, that's my pick.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. No issues there. Well, I was locked and loaded, and now all of my research has gone down the tubes. So I think this one's going to be pretty easy for me. I'm going to be targeting against Old Man Felix. I will take Kyle Schwarber.
Ooh, okay.
I have not taken Schwarber in a while.
Not a bad pick.
All right, so Schwarber is in. Yasiel Puig is in. And now we'll wait for the rest of the goons to get their stuff in.
Travis Shaw, 2,300. Just throwing that out there.
I would not be surprised with the Travis Shaw dong today.
I would not either. That's why I just mentioned it.
Francisco Lindor is the pick for Emac.
I'm curious to see what the other guys pick.
Yeah, Emac is on Lindor. Let's see, where's Jake gonna come in? Ha! Spags gets beat to Lindor by a half second and finishes off by being aggravated. Carl Santana, which is a funny way to say that. Carlos Santana The illustrious return for Chris Bags off of vacation. And if you don't follow Chris on Instagram, go follow Chris Bags on Instagram. He posted the outtake of him hitting his funny bone while recording his video today. It is fantastic to watch his misery.
It was good.
Oh, it was great. It was great. Very, very satisfying.
I'll have to check it out.
Where is Jake? Ah, here he is. Jake Hari is typing Freddie Freeman in for Jake. So here are the 5 picks. I have taken Kyle Schwarber. Spags is on Carlos Santana. Jake on Freddie Freeman. Emac Francisco Lindor. My partner in crime today, Chris Randone, Yasiel Puig. We're going to get some dongs today. I smell a double dong.
Oh, there's a double dong for sure coming out of those guys.
It's probably Schwarber, but I'll let you guys have your chances.
No, he just got scratched. I forgot to say that.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all. I would cry. That would be the second guy that I had locked and loaded, where it went away. So, just for the record, before chat freaks out, he didn't really get scratched. People will lose their mind for that.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, he didn't really get scratched.
Yeah, I mean,
Chris Bryant.
That's true. That is true. Chris Bryant did legitimately get scratched. All right, so
yeah, I had a bunch of him, so I had to.
Let's make our way to hitting. Who is your top stack for today?
Oh, man, I don't have necessarily a top stack. I kind of have a very balanced playing field tonight. Okay, so I really like the Minnesota Twins tonight, and I really like the Braves. I like the Indians. I like the Cubs. I like the Dodgers. And one team that I like is.
You broke up a little bit. I don't know who you said.
Those are my teams that I have played at present. Oh, I said, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I'm really on the Indians, the Braves, the Twins, and I like the Cubs, and I do like the Los Angeles Angels.
Okay. I'm with you on that Braves pick. I'm certainly with you on that Twins pick. Twins are tough to get to, but I am making sure that I force them into quite a bit. Not a lot of ownership coming in there, and we did just recently get an ownership update. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that now and see if we got any major changes. FanDuel Crunch is just about done. That one I could actually put to bed too. It was nice. So let's grab ownership first. See what kind of updates we have. Mike Clevenger, 35% on DraftKings. Mike Montgomery up to 27 now. All right, DK in on FanDuel. Chalk play on FanDuel today. Leadoff hitter for the Dodgers, Gavin Lux, coming up for the first time.
How much?
He is at 40%.
God, man.
That's what happens when you hit leadoff for the Dodgers and you're the flat minimum.
Well, I knew he was. I know it, I guess I could say.
Okay. Let's export this FanDuel Crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't have Jerks and Profar selected when I ran my DK Crunch before, so considering how much Oakland I'm planning on having, it feels like a big miss to just X somebody out.
No, I agree with you on that.
So I am ready to actually lock down FanDuel lineups. Need to grab my CSVs. Behind the game today. Lots of work behind the scenes today. Had a little bit of a call with the man from the deeper dive, Mr. Laffy. Talked some NFL today. Got to listen to our first NFL strategy show with Laffy and Sal Vetri. Fantastic show. I highly recommend you guys go check that out. It's also up on our podcast feed. So if you go to SoundCloud or iTunes or however you get your podcast, you should be able to search for Awesemo and start getting these shows. All of the strategy shows show up on the podcast feed if you were looking for just an audio version. So go check that out as well, everybody. You pumped for NFL?
Oh man, I'm so pumped. I'm ready for like a new change of speed. I'm ready for a new sport.
I can fully understand that. I'm way more interested in basketball, but I'll take a brief 4-week break for football.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited for basketball too. It's just, we've only had baseball, so it's like you talk for baseball for so long, you want to switch it up and you want to like think about something else.
For real, it's talking about baseball is the biggest grind because the day-to-day feels so similar.
Oh yeah,
always.
Oh yeah.
Like with basketball, every slate feels different. The size of the slate like dramatically changes things, but for baseball, it's just a lot of the same. So while I love it and it's probably my best sport, still hard to talk about. So you mentioned the Braves, who were the team that came up the most for me on my first crunch. You mentioned the Twins, the team that I think is tops along with Oakland. You mentioned the Angels. I have no issues there. The fourth team you mentioned, the Cubs?
Yeah, I like the Cubs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fairly priced, especially on FanDuel. I like the Angels too, though. Mike Trout is very underpriced today on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I'm just going to point that out there. He's under 5K, so he is one of my highest one-offs, no doubt. I mean, at 4,900, I feel like it's a huge bargain. So, yeah, all the way with him.
Mike Trout's price on DraftKings is absolutely broken. He should never be 4,900. Really, they should just put a limit on it. Like, if salary is supposed to be less than 5K, make it 5K.
Yeah, 100%.
So FanDuel Crunch is in, and I actually have the data on here, and I don't need to do a recrunch or anything like that to make it happen. So let's take a little bit of a peek here at FanDuel exposure. Actually, let's restart this DraftKings Crunch now that we're at 500 lineups. Let's get the other 300 crunched out. How many lineups do you crunch?
I crunched about 700 lineups.
Nice, similar.
I don't know why. I don't know why your song is playing for some strange reason somewhere.
I was gonna say, you know that it's still playing, right?
Yeah, I think it. Oh, okay. I see what happened. Sorry about that.
No apologies necessary. It's fantastic music.
My laptop. I opened it up because I wanted to go over my crunches, my percentages. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was. For some reason, your music was still playing. It must be a big banger.
Yeah, well, I mean, the real question is, why would you ever turn it off?
True. Very true.
Massive amounts of the Braves again on the FanDuel Crunch. I got enough of the Twins and the A's and the Astros to make me feel like I can still get there. I haven't taken a look at the top stack tool yet for the FanDuel side, so let's see if anything stands out as a really monster value. Are you playing on FanDuel tonight?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually finishing up some crunches right now for FanDuel.
The Boston Red Sox are the team with the highest stack percentage relative to their ownership right now. Dodgers coming in slightly overowned. Cubs coming in a bit overowned. Indians coming in a bit overowned. Boston looking to be the team that stands out. Oakland quite a bit over the field. Minnesota quite a bit over the field. Houston quite a bit over the field. I'm feeling pretty good here. I'm pretty dialed in. I am liking what I've got. Atlanta neutral. What'd you say?
Did you say Boston is the highest projected top stack on FanDuel as far as ownership?
They have the biggest gap between their top stack percentage and ownership.
Gotcha.
They are third in top stack percentage, but their ownership is close to half.
Gotcha.
All right, so I'm going to bump up the Twins. Perfect. I'm going to bump up the A's. Perfect. I'm going to bump up the Astros. I'm going to bump up the Astros way more than that. Perfect. I'm liking this a lot right now.
You think you're winning tonight?
I'm not going to be unhappy when I put my lineups in. Let's put it that way. I will have confidence as I do this.
Okay.
Best I can do right now.
All right.
I need to walk back Atlanta just a little bit. I'm way under on the Indians and Dodgers. That feels about right. I got a lot of Diamondbacks. How does Alex feel about Arizona? Not too shabby. I think I could handle that. I can handle a little bit of Diamondbacks. I'm probably stacking them up a little bit more aggressively than I would like to, but I can handle it. Cardinals, I'm going to stay there. Don't have much Royals. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day on my FanDuel exposures. Here's what I've got for pitching. 23% Mike Clevinger, 11% Max Scherzer, 13% Jack Flaherty, 33% John Lester. I almost said Mike Montgomery there. That would have been really bad.
Oof.
So Lester is the guy that I'm taking the biggest stand on today.
Lester.
Yes.
That's one of your top.
This is I mean for FanDuel. So he is 7,100 on FanDuel today. That is where I stand from a pitching perspective on FD.
Scary, man. Tom Murphy doubled on tonight.
I will say that when I was trying to do some research for my dong pick today, Tom Murphy's name was standing out a little bit, and I was not really happy to see that, considering I knew where I was going to end up with regards to Lester. So
just mashes lefties, man.
He does. He's in a very good spot today.
Yeah.
I was more than a little nervous when I saw. So I take a look at home run props as well to make sure like my model is calibrated correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And Murphy's looked damn good for today.
Seattle's pretty cheap across the board on FanDuel too. You can get easily starting 4 guys in a stack, all under 2,900, 2,800. So and they're fairly good against lefties as of late. I think since July 1st, I wrote up on them not too long ago against the whole McKay situation.
I was going to say, yeah, you wrote them up on the day that they went bananas on the chalk pitcher. So
yeah, I mean, they can hit lefties, and they got some good guys. And I think Nola and Murphy are probably the only plays though. Maybe Ryan Court because he's just so cheap. He's the I think the bare minimum on FanDuel too for like 2,000. So if you're looking to get a Clevinger pitcher rostered, Seattle could be one of those weird stacks that could go off.
Yeah, Court at the minimum, D. Gordon 2,400, Braden Bishop 2,100, Dylan Moore and Nola 23 and 25. You can get to Seattle with very little effort if you need to.
Yeah. I feel like I'm so zoned in on this slate that it's like scary because I think I know it all for this slate. I'm just like, man, is this really going to happen tonight?
That's how I feel right now. Everything is coming up the exact way that I would want it to, and I'm not really finding myself having to like manually manipulate that.
Right.
That makes me feel great going into lock, but it's also really a kick in the junk if you take a beating on the slate because you're like, oh, I feel great, and everything that I thought was wrong. So emotionally, I'll have some trouble with this.
True.
I'm almost done my DK crunch again now, so this is good. Like 20 more lineups to go. And then we could really iron out the final exposures. Are you seeing anything weird coming in on your crunches? Anything you didn't expect to see?
I just don't know why Yordan Alvarez isn't playing against the righty.
Yeah, welcome to my world, man.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I wrote that down at 505. It was the first name I looked at for home run picks. I was like, okay, this will work. So I knew you wouldn't pick him, so I knew that I would get him no matter what.
I mean, he's a good play tonight.
Oh, yeah. But you're not taking Yordan Alvarez. No. You're not as happy getting the you want the Tom Murphy double dong notoriety pick because no one's on Tom Murphy.
I mean, I've done it once. I can do it again.
I know.
Have you thought about the Dong Whisperer? If you didn't know,
have you thought about going to him tonight, changing your dong pick?
No, I can never change my dong pick.
Okay. That's fair.
I feel like it's already been put in, and I feel like we would change the dynamic of Don picks moving forward.
It just might. It just might.
I didn't feel good about Irvin yesterday. I just felt like I was so time sensitive that I had to pivot to someone on the Reds because he was the next guy in the order. So I was like, you know what, whatever.
Got lucky with that one too. There were not a lot of dongs yesterday. The Aquino solo dong was exactly what I needed. Okay, here we go. DraftKings crunches in massive amounts of the Red Sox, Braves, and A's before I touch anything. So right out of the gate, I know that I've got a shot to get to everything that I want to get to. Bumping up the Twins. Ooh, I might have to run a little bit more Twins crunches. Yeah, I'm running into a wall. I need to crunch out a couple more Twins lineups.
Yeah, is that what's happening?
Yeah, just not getting enough of them as a stack. It's mostly all Twins one-offs, so I'm just going to go in and run like 20 more, 25 more just Twins 5-mans so that I can bump up their overall exposure without having to like make anything get really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Fantasy Cruncher makes it really easy to do that. I just select the Twins as my only 5-man stack. I filter the teams to only show me the Twins so that I can quickly, since I set player exposure caps for every single individual hitter, I have to go in here and bump up all of the Twins hitters individually so that the crunch will actually run.
Okay.
Which is the only sort of problem. And then I can just merge it with my previous crunch and re-import it, and everything will just work without me having to go too crazy.
Gotcha.
It's very helpful. So let's just run 40 more 5-man twin stacks.
I got a lot of Twins. A lot of Twins tonight. Really like the Twins.
This is how you know there are like a ridiculous amount of lineup possibilities to get to, and why I don't worry too much about guys that are highly owned. I ran 500 5-man stacks to start my crunch earlier. I just ran 40 more of just the Twins. None of those 40 were in the original 500. So the amount of combinations that you can get to get yourself to be unique is so much more than most people think. It doesn't take a lot to get yourself a unique lineup.
Very true.
Especially if you're into like hand building a little bit more, or you want to use Fantasy Cruncher as sort of an extra piece of your process so that you can, generate a lot of lineups and make little tweaks. Just generating, if you really like the Twins, just generate out 40. The chances of somebody else having it are pretty rare.
Mm-hmm.
Well, workbook crashed. That's the second time that has happened in the past couple days. So that's fun.
Oh, man.
But we've got 15 minutes yet, so I'm not freaking out the way that I would have expected to freak out.
Don't you hate when you're trying to register and then it says, bad news, this contest just filled, and you have like a great lineup?
It does save it for you, though.
No, it does, but it's like there's no point now because it was the main tournament that I wanted to be in.
Right. It has happened countless times, which is never fun. All right, the refresh is in for DraftKings with the additional Twins lineups. We can start taking a couple questions. Who would you rather have in cash, Whit Merrifield or Ozzie Albies?
Man, I would say I'd say Albies.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that I would agree there.
Yeah.
Let's try to reopen this model file and make sure that nothing is broken. The recovered model file not helping me out all that much. Let's see what else we've got coming in from a questions perspective. Nothing in YouTube chat. Anything coming in premium? Oh, do you prefer Ozzie Albies or Josh Donaldson? Both guys coming from the Braves.
Oh,
I think you were saying Donaldson, but you cut out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I just said Donaldson.
Okay. I would agree with you as well. Donaldson has been nasty this year for the Braves. I did not think that he would maintain this sort of career arc.
It's kind of like he's having a comeback season in a way.
He kind of is. I'm very happy about it, honestly.
Yeah, it's nice to see that he's still got that power.
Yeah, he's got 30 plus dongs, I believe.
It's pretty amazing considering that you would think that he was on the tail end of his career about a year or two ago.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was like a terrible pickup for the Braves. It shows how much I know. Oh, this is coming out golden.
Jose didn't, unfortunately.
What'd you say?
I said Donaldson bounced back, but Jose Bautista, he couldn't find it.
No, he could not. No, he could not. Let's see. Braves look good here. I could back that off a little. Twice the field on the Twins. What, more than twice the field on the Twins. The A's get a little bit more Astros. Don't have a ton of Cubs, but have enough. I basically have all Cubs as one-offs, which I really like going up against a team that's relatively chalky. That way I'm getting the pieces that are good, but I don't necessarily match the stacks. Heavy on the Red Sox.
Dude, tonight's your night.
I hope so. I really do. Got some Cleveland, got some Dodgers. Probably need a little bit more of those guys. Getting to the Cardinals again.
I'm really I don't have any of them except Edmund. There's just some teams where I don't really have any interest in tonight.
I get it.
They're not appealing.
I get it. The Cardinals are just one of those teams that I guess they work from a value perspective for me. Let's see who I'm actually getting to. Now, they are cheap on DK. Like Goldschmidt at 4,200, not difficult to get to. I mean, I only have Goldschmidt and Fowler in double digits, so it's not as if I'm taking some sort of monster stand. I can handle that. I do have my pitching exposures, though. 52.7% Montgomery. 32% John Lester. So John Lester and Mike Montgomery are the two guys I need the most from a pitching perspective today. John Lester in particular across both sites.
Oof. Man, you better hope that my boy Murphy isn't feeling it tonight.
I would be very happy if your boy Murphy was not feeling it tonight. How's that?
He's for sure hitting a dong. I mean, I hate to say that, but he's for sure hitting a dong.
I mean, as long as it's solo, yeah, I'm cool with it.
Solo dong. That's it.
I can deal with that. I have no need to care about a non-solo dong or about a solo dong. I can live with that. If he does anything else, I'd prefer.
Do we have any more? Do we have any more questions?
Let's take a look. I'm about to upload my DraftKings lineups right now, and then I'm good to go. I'm not going to worry about making any of my Padres swaps until after we get off of the show. We have 10 minutes to go. Actually, I could probably do both things at the same time, but let's check some questions. Let's see. No, we don't.
Adam said that he's getting to Bolanos on DraftKings.
Let's see how much I got. I thought I was going to get to a bunch of him. I ended up getting to only 4%, but that's because I'm 50-something% of Montgomery. Yeah, 52.7. I am. Let's hit on top stacks too. This is my most exposed teams across both sites. Teams I have the most: Braves, A's, Red Sox, Twins, Astros. Those are my top 5.
Okay. Let me see. So my top stacks are the Dodgers, Cubs, Indians, Twins, Angels, top 5. No order. Those are just my top 5. And then I also have almost close to the top 5, but they're kind of out of the mix, is the Braves and the Red Sox.
Okay. I like it. Most exposed pitchers, as we've already touched on, Lester, Montgomery, and I'm basically neutral to the field with Clevenger. Biggest fade, I guess, from a pitching perspective is DeGrom. Don't have a ton of DeGrom. And then I basically don't have Zach Greinke.
Yeah, DeGrom, and I don't have really any Scherzer. I'm not paying 11.7 for him. I'm not. So I
have half the field on Scherzer.
Oh wow, you have 50% Scherzer?
Yeah, no, I have 7% Scherzer.
Oh, I thought you had half of ownership.
No.
And then outside of that, the biggest fades, I think, kind of fading. I thought I would have more of, but Flaherty on DraftKings. I have more Flaherty on FanDuel for some reason than I do than DraftKings. It's actually a significant difference. I have no Alcantara, no Fears, no Berea, no Cease, no Porcello, no Bolanos. Montgomery is my guy. I have 68% Montgomery.
There you go. We're on the same page there.
Yeah.
I didn't get to as much Flaherty as I expected to.
Yeah. regardless, even if Montgomery got 6 points, I still have so much leverage for bats to get points there. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I love it. That's exactly where I wanted to be. We got the question: cash pitcher on FanDuel. If it's not Clevenger for you, because he's clearly like the best option. But if money is kind of a problem, I would say John Lester is my personal favorite at 7,100. He's got 50. He's the second highest owned guy as well, so it's not as if it's some major leap. I would say Lester or probably Flaherty at 10K.
Mitch Keller, I would say.
I have no
Mitch
issue with
Keller, in that scenario. I have a lot of Mitch Keller, actually. I have way more than the field. I have 3 times the field of Mitch Keller.
On FanDuel or DK or both?
DK. FanDuel, okay. FanDuel, I didn't get much there, but yeah. I got some nice Keller and Montgomery pairings, which is allowing me to fit in those Twins, which allows me to fit in those Red Sox, and I really want to attack that game.
I got to 15% Keller on DK, 5% on FanDuel. I think I can handle that.
Yeah.
What team are you fading the most from a stack perspective? Who do you have the least of that's actually getting ownership?
Houston.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. You know how many Houston stacks I have?
I think you're about to say 0.
2%.
Okay. I have 16 5-man Houston stacks on DraftKings.
Yeah, don't know why.
And 21 4-mans on FanDuel.
Oh, nice. Yeah, not getting much there.
Wow, I didn't look at it like this before. So of 5-man stacks, I have 5 teams at 16 or more. Everybody else, ignoring the Cardinals, who I have 6 of, is at 2 or below. So Twins, A's, Astros, Red Sox, and Braves. They are the teams I have all of my 5-man stacks of. But like I mentioned, I have half the field of the Cubs, but I have 5 3-mans, 5 2-mans, and 33 one-off Cubs bats out of my 150 lineup. So 1/3 of my lineups have a Cub in it, even though I don't have Cubs stacks. And I think I feel pretty good about that if they're chalky, that I'm at least getting some representation if something goes crazy.
It's not a bad way to put it. I like that.
If they hit any home runs, that's probably in my best interest. I just need them to not be one of the top scoring teams. But if they're like 5th or 6th, I think that's a benefit for me.
Yeah.
I have 48 one-off Dodger bats. They are the other chalk team. I don't have a single 5-man Dodger stack, however. So basically, all of my lineups have some sort of Cub Dodger one-off combination to go in those other stacks. That feels like a good place to be.
That's not bad.
If I can get one of those Twin A, Astro, Red Sox, Brave stacks to be the nuts today, I'm feeling pretty good. So
yeah, and that's why I think that, with these pitchers, I mean, look at Alex last night. He took down first place with a -8. A -8.
Wait,
he took first
on DraftKings?
On DraftKings.
Did he win twice yesterday?
He won the early slate and he won the late slate.
I didn't know he won the early. We looked at the late we looked at like the main slate yesterday on on lineup study. I didn't know he did it twice.
He won it both. He won both tournaments.
So he had, in the one that we looked at, he had Syndergaard and Minor, and they both went for like 40 apiece, and nobody had it.
Yeah. So last night he had Savali, and he had. I swear to God, I'm not joking.
I mean, clearly I believe you. This is the easiest thing in the world to look for. Oh my God, this dude just smashes baseball. Guys, live before lock is the promo code. 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus. Come learn from the guy that smashes everything in baseball.
Listen, he had Ross Detweiler, 22% owned, -8. I kid you not. And Savali had 15. He had from 2 pitchers, and he still won. He had 181 points.
Lineup study
The
was
guy
it?
in second had Kenley Jensen with 0 points. Didn't even play.
Oh my god.
This is getting ridiculous, man. It's getting ridiculous.
Guys,
It's crazy.
just sign up live before lock. Get in here now. Get in on the ground floor for NFL this season because Alex is fantastic. Ooh, FanDuel. How much Gavin Lux did I end up with? 7%. Okay, I need that chalk to die tonight.
Man, I like Gavin Lux.
Yeah, I
like
do
it.
too. I got 15% on DK. That I'm okay with. But
Yeah.
the Dodgers could be my undoing on FanDuel.
Man, -8 points. It's incredible.
This dude's
It's
crazy.
wild. It's wild.
Best in the
So
business.
inspiring, right?
It really is. He's the best in the world at what he does.
Amazing.
I thought he only banked one tournament yesterday for $50,000. Turns out it was Dose.
Dose.
Yeah.
Both. My God.
Happy Labor Day, Alex
What a-
Baker. Here's $100,000. And I'm probably more. We don't know what the rest of the contests look like, but certainly the 250K
yeah.
payouts.
Oh, you know what was great about the main slate? So it was interesting because I'm like, man, I'm looking at it. There's one game left. Obviously, it's halfway through, or it's like the second inning of the Rangers and the Yankees. I kid you not. He had Mike Minor, 1% owned, so he was in good position. He's like in 8th place. So everyone else had 0 in front of him, no players, nothing. So he was golden. However, though, if Mike Minor would have gotten blown up, he was sitting right behind in 90th place with 30 innings remaining with the entire Yankees team. So he had the perfect hedge. No one had anyone. He had Minor and he had the Yankees team. So he was golden.
He needed an extreme outcome on either side. Either Minor continues to dominate or the Yankees go bonkers.
Yeah, and he got it. It was wild. Like what a move. What a power move.
The next giveaway we have where I can get people can win like a 30-minute coaching session with him. I'm going to try to win.
Oh,
coach
man.
me, boss.
Yeah.
Coach me.
Seriously, because that was incredible. I'm not gonna lie, that was incredible.
I'm just kidding, guys. I can just send him a message, and I know that I can talk to him. But that's really like I would go out of my way to get that. We're locked, by the way. 705. Alex Baker is the GOAT. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, Twins. Here's the summary: Go Braves, go A's, go Red Sox, go Twins and Astros. I wouldn't mind if the Cardinals were decent. I hope that the Dodgers don't do super well unless they're the lineups that I have the one-offs in. And John Lester, you are the most important pitcher for me today outside of Mike Montgomery, which is not something that I like saying out loud because he's John Lester. Give me your summary. Most exposed stacks, most exposed pitchers.
Most exposed pitchers: Clevenger, Montgomery, Keller, and outside of that, stacks. My highest owned at this moment in time, it's a tie actually. I got Twins and I got the Cubs and Indians battling. They kind of are the same amount of ownership. Then I have the Red Sox, got the Braves, I got the Los Angeles Angels up there. So it's kind of spread out tonight. Not too heavy on one, but enough to where they separate from each other.
There we go. Guys, hit the like button, please. It's very helpful for us as you're heading out. Subscribe to the channel. Coming up tomorrow, another full day of content. We will have the MLB strategy show in the morning, myself and Adam from 9:30 to 11. Spags will be joining Laffy to talk some NFL strategy at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then deeper dive again tomorrow. All three guys, Alex, Adam, and Laffy. I don't know how many games there are tomorrow. I have not looked at the schedule. Let's just assume that they're starting at 5 o'clock. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern, myself and Jake Hari breaking it down and taking you all the way up to lock once again. I'm going to get a dong tonight with Schwarber. I think that Chris Randone is going to get a dong as well with Yasiel Puig. We will leave the rest of the goons in this dong contest in the dust. Chris, anything else?
Murphy, and let's have some fun.
I could really do without a Tom Murphy donk today, but I'll take what I can get. Thank you guys for joining us. Best of luck on this slate. Come back 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Ben Rossa and Jason Roslin talking about the Porsche European Open. I will be behind the virtual glass for that one, playing FIFA and not sweating golf lineups. Best of luck, everybody. We'll talk to you later.